So who is excited about October Daily? Well, I know that I am, and so I dug out my journals that I created for the last 2 years, and I have been really wanting to create a cover for them or some type of storage for them. I just haven't done that, so I thought I would do that this year. Now, my October Daily journals, if you will, are 6 by 12 in case you haven't been following me for the last couple years. I do have a playlist if you want to check those out. They do have tutorials as well as project shares. And the way that I create my October dailies is slightly different than most people. The way that I have done them for the last 2 years is I have taken Pink Odd Birds prompts, and I have used those to create a response. But when I do it, my response is movie themed. So as an example, let me show you one. Like here was a movie themed response, and I included poltergeist. So the whole layout is poltergeist related or themed. Here is another one. We have the Monster House, and here's one, an ode to Coraline, and there's Coraline. So that's kind of how I have done it. This has been one of the most fun things that I do in a year, creative wise, because I just let myself go. I just do whatever I feel like. It doesn't have to be pristine, and I have fun with it, and I truly enjoy that. When we do December Daily, we're very particular about how we do that, and it's okay. I kind of like that. But for October, just the whole theme of it lends to just having fun with what you're creating. So I'm going to continue to do that. Here is another one, and this is around practical magic theme, and I just had so much fun. Here is Charlie Brown theme, trick-or-treating, I got a rock. Just so much fun. So what I tried to do for these was to create a cover to protect them a little bit. This one on the back is Woman in Black, and then I have little letters for each of the birthdays. If you've seen the movie, you'll understand that. I'll quit showing you. You can check out my playlist. But anyways, my storage idea was to create an acetate cover. And I tried that today, and it just wasn't working for me. Because these are made of cardstock, they're pretty heavy and pretty stocky, and the acetate just wasn't cutting it. So what I decided to do was to create a storage box that I could house these in. I just want them to be upright, and I love to bring them out each year and to draw inspiration from them. So that's what I'm going to do today, is to create a storage box for my past journals as we get started on our journey for this year. Now, the first thing I thought about was creating a magazine holder for them, and I thought, well, why create my own? Why can't I just use one that's already created? So I pulled out one of these Jacqs file holders, is what they call them, but they're like magazine racks, and I got this from the Dollar Tree. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually cut this down, because I want to be able to see the tops of my journals as decoration out of the box. So that'll be the first thing that I'm going to do. Okay, so I have my cutting mat down below to be safe, and here is the magazine holder. Now what I'm going to do is use this point of the magazine holder and cut straight across to take off this top part. Okay, so I'm just lining up my ruler. This is going to be a little bit hard to show you. It's a little bit big, but I'll show you this side. I'm lining up my ruler to the edge of the holder and then making sure it is straight all the way across. And then I'm going to take my knife blade and do some cuts until the top pops off. And there we go. So I would save this if you're following along. This is really nice to be recycled. Since my October dailies are 6 inches across, when you put them into the magazine holder, you get quite a bit of room in the back or the front. And I would rather them be a little bit snug. So I now want to cut down the side of the box so that we have more of a snug fit. Now I figured since these are 6, I want to be able to get them in and out easily, so I thought I would go to 7 inches before I cut into the box. Now when looking at the box, you'll see that they brought the 2 sides of the boxes together and they have an overlap piece at the edge here. Well, I don't want to use that because I want a nice flat front, and I don't care if there is a circle in the back end to where you could pull it out. So I'm going to start back here. Now I think the easiest thing to do would be to cut just a little bit of this off here so that I can get in there and figure out my measurements and everything. So I'm just going to line this up at the edge and just cut through it. Now what I'm going to do is take my magazine box, I'm going to open it up, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure from the center, which is the front of our box, from this edge, measure out 7 inches. And I'm going to make a mark. And then I'm going to cut. And there we go. So now we have one side is shorter than the other side. So now I'm going to use my scoreboard, put in my magazine holder, find the 7, and I made a little score there. I actually cut into the paper. But what I did was use this to find where the 7 mark is, and I folded up the back end of the magazine holder. So now that we have our 7-inch mark created, what we're going to do is measure out from the 7 inches 3 3/8 inch. So we go 1, 2, 3, and 3/8 is at 10 3/8. Okay? So now I'm going to do the same thing and create my fold. Now from our 3/8 inch, what I'm going to do is line that up on my mat here, and I'm going to go out about 1 inch, maybe the width of the ruler here, to cut off the excess that we don't need. And then this will get folded inward like that, and we'll glue it on the inside. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz scissors to cut up and cut off part of this that's on the corner there. And doing the same with this side, because remember, any of these directions are no longer valid. And we'll be taking this, let's see, let's see if we can fold things in now. Okay, so this bottom does come together after making those 2 little cuts, which is great. And I did put my books in it. It does set up. There's actually still about 3/4 of an inch that I have as room to get in and out. But I did notice that my top album here catches on the lip of this, and I don't want it to bend my frame. So I'm going to have to cut this down a little bit more. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so I've just flattened this out again and lined everything up, taking about 1/4 of an inch off. And that should work perfectly fine. Now I was thinking about going ahead and giving it that magazine front where it's shorter in the front, longer in the back. So I think what I'm going to do, this is 7 inches long, and I think I'll go up to the 4th inch. I don't know, that just seems too short. Maybe I'll do, let's do 4.5, and if we don't like that, we can always come back and cut it down to 4. Okay, so I've measured up 4.5 here. I made a mark. I have a mark over here, and I'm going to line these up together. So then we would also measure from this point all the way to the back. And do the same on this side. Now I think we can go ahead and cut these. I think I'll start here in the center. And now we will have a nice slanted box. Really liking how this is coming together. Now I decided to paint the inside of this box, and I'm going to use Studio 71 acrylic colors, and this is iridescent silver. I wanted to do black, but I only have a little bit of black left, so I thought I would just use the silver. Ooh, wow. Because most of the covers are primary colors for Halloween, like the oranges, the grays, the black, purples. So I thought this would still go. And I'm only doing this to go with the aesthetic of Halloween. So I'll be doing this and then I'll come back. Okay, the inside is all dry and I've already decided what paper I'm going to use. I'm going to use Bewitching Hour by Country Craft Creations. I initially was going to use something different, but I'm really loving these stars as well as this page. So I'm going to do a combination of those. And I'm using these on the sides of the storage box. I'm going to do something different on the front. Okay, so I've decided to do it in this direction. I'm going to wrap the house around the other side, and I need it to have more room, so I'm going to do it this way. Just make sure when you're doing this that you pay attention to the pattern on your paper. And I'm going to, I think, use just a little bit of tape so I can tape this down. For when I go to trace it out. So I'm turning that over, making sure once again that I have my paper lined up. And then I'm going to take a pencil and trace this out. Let's see how I did. Awesome. Yep, it'll fit right there. Perfect. You never know, right? I think it could probably use just a little bit of trimming, but we'll worry about that later. Let's do the other side. So I was thinking that if you had just a regular pattern paper, you could cut your sides out one way and then flip it over and cut it out on the other side, and you would have plenty of room on a 12 by 12 paper. But because I'm wanting to use this house, I have to add a different colored cardstock because this isn't big enough, because I'm going across the page because of the pattern. But like I said, if you had just a standard like line pattern or something, you could take one side, trace it and cut it out, and then flip it over and do again all on one 12 by 12, which makes it really nice. So for this, I'm going to use the star pattern. And there we go. We got that one pretty good as well. Excellent. So here's how it would look on each side. And I've decided to use this paper for the center here. Now I previously embossed this with a, I think it was a brick pattern, but I think that would be really cool on the front. So I'm going to show you what it'll look like. something like that. And then I have this metal label that I'm going to add down here, and then I have some silver brads to go along with that have purple in the center, which will be perfect. So I'm going to put this right here. So now that I've shown you what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll come back. So here's how it looks with all the paper on in the front, and now I'm going to work on the back side. What I decided to do for this is to cut a piece that is 3.5 by 7, and it's just slightly over 7. I don't know how that happened, but it is. And so I'm going to take this straight heavy cardstock piece and glue it to the back of this to help keep this straight, because it does keep bending. And I'm afraid even if we glue the sides here to the back, that it will still bulge out. So I'm thinking if we add this to it to give it something to hold on to, we will have a straight back. And then we can add our decorative paper. Now there will be a line going down it, but again, I don't mind. I'm not going to see that. I'm going to have my stuff in there. So that's the plan for this. I have ink all over me, so I apologize. So I just wanted to come back on and tell you guys what I'm doing there before I add some decorative paper. Now, as I was putting the decorative paper on, I did have to use score tape because the glue just wasn't cutting it. So if you have a sander or just grit paper, if you can go over this, if you have a shiny surface on your storage box, I would recommend that. I couldn't find mine, so I just used the adhesive tape. And again, don't worry about the ink because I'll be covering it. See, now it bends. It doesn't bend anymore. So now we can attach this side to the inside of the cover. And then we could add our final piece of decorative paper. I've added my adhesive tape here to the side, and now we're going to bring over our panel and adhere these. Now I did realize that I forgot to angle cut this, so I think we'll do it after we're done here. Now this might be hard for me to show you how I'm doing this, but I'll do my best. It helps to bend all of these parts in so that I can bring this over and match these ends up together. Yep, nice and straight. So now I just need to cut that off. Just using my scissors here. Doesn't really matter how good it is because I did plan on putting something here. Okay. Now, since we are here, let's go ahead and we have all of our tabs in. Let's go ahead and push them in, and this last one, pop that in and line those two up, and then you can come in here and flatten them out. There we go. I did think about cutting a piece of chipboard and putting down in here just to kind of hold everything flat, but the bottom is flat. So that's how it looks so far. I just need to cover the back. So here's the back of the box, and I have covered that in some plaid paper. I really like that. And I even went ahead and added a piece of heavy chipboard to the bottom of this file box. I painted this black just so that it would go with the aesthetic. And then I elected not to put something on the inside because I really didn't need to. So what I plan to do now is just a little bit of decorating, not too much. And I'm going to use this rosette trim. It's a small rosette trim that I got from Hobby Lobby by Decorative Trim. And I have the worst Fabri-Tac bottle, so I am not going to use that. Instead, what I did was added score tape to the back, and I'm going to put that on here. And another reason why I did that is because I kind of want to not just stick it on top to lay flat, but to kind of fold over the edges, because I'm going to really enjoy seeing the net as well as the flower. So that's my plan for that. And then I've picked out some sequins that I might use, as well as I cut out the house that I want to go on this side. So I'm going to get started on the decorations. Okay, so I'm done finishing. I just wanted to put a few little touches on it. I'll just go through it real quick with you. I love the front, how it is nice and subtle. And then on the side, we have all this goodness going on. These sequins really just set this whole scene off. I love that. I love the stars in the background and the house in the front. Really pretty. I love these mushrooms. So fun and whimsical. On the back, I am just going to leave that blank for now. And then on this side, I just added some more sequins, a little black web sequin there. And then another thing that I did was I took some Wink of Stella, and I went over some of the smoke and down in here, and even the fire. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it just looks really cool in person. I love that. There's the sparkle going on, makes it even more real. I love how the rosette trim turned out as well. Okay, now we can add our journals to this and see how that looks. I mean, there's still plenty of room. I could add another journal if I wanted, or whatever these are, you know. I don't know if when they're this large, do you call them a journal? But anyways, let's see what it looks like. So there it is from the front, a very big view. I'll take another photo and insert it so you could see. Here is a side view. I love this Frankenstein behind the castle or the house here. That's so funny. And then on this side, we have the house as well in the back. Yeah, I'm liking how that looks. Again, I'll put up some photos for you. But that's the project for today. I hope that you have enjoyed this. It's something different, and I was going to do it anyway, so why not do it with you? Thanks a lot for joining me, everyone, and I'll see you next time.